It would be easy to dismiss the Galaxy S22 and its larger brother, the S22 Plus, as just another iteration of that same Samsung formula that we've seen for the past couple years now. It's the de facto standard that most other Android phones are measured up against, and honestly the only alternative to the iPhone if you're actually trying to decide if you want to live in the Android side or the Apple side. Now, to be fair, that's exactly what the Galaxy S22 and the S22 Plus deliver. But honestly, this year, there's also a little bit more. I'm Nick Gray, and this is my review of the Samsung Galaxy S22 and the S22 Plus. It's been about 5 years now that Samsung's been playing around with this big and little brother sibling combination, with a couple changes to that formula over time, with the larger device being called the Edge at the beginning, and then the smaller device going through a couple iterations of foregoing premium build materials and even having lesser cameras. But in 2022, Samsung's actually keeping things simple by only changing up the display size, batteries, and the charging speeds of these two phones, and pretty much keeping everything else the same. That's right, it doesn't matter which of these two devices you buy, you're going to be getting the same chipset on the inside, the same amount of storage, same amount of RAM, and pretty much everything else as well. Oh, and the cameras on the back, both of these devices have the same ones as well. And for me, that's a good thing, since I've always been a fan and really have a soft spot for smaller devices. Now, don't get me wrong, the Samsung Galaxy S22 isn't exactly a small device, since the display up front is still 6.1 inches, but it's definitely a lot smaller and more manageable than the S22 Plus, sporting a 6.6-inch display. Well, at least it is for me. If you're hoping for an LTPO display on either of these two smartphones, you are going to be disappointed, since Samsung is reserving that new display technology for the more expensive Galaxy S22 Ultra. But you still get a variable refresh rate that maxes out at 120 Hz, and I have to say it does look really good. Other than that, though, there's really nothing to complain about with the displays on either of these two smartphones. You definitely have to commend Samsung for using a flat display panel and the flat glass on the S22 and the S22 Plus, as opposed to the curved glass that you get on the Ultra. Yes, I know that having a curved glass and the curved display can make a phone feel and look just a little bit smaller, but having a flat panel makes it easier to type on, and not having to deal with that extra glare that you get with a curved display is a huge positive in my book. If you use your phone outdoors, you'll definitely appreciate both of these smartphones as well, since the Galaxy S22 Plus maxes out at 1750 nits, while the regular S22 maxes out at 1300. And though that number is lower, it's still incredibly bright, and this display is incredibly vibrant, even in direct sunlight, which I'm sure is something we can all appreciate. To finish off the build of these two devices, both the Galaxy S22 and the S22 Plus feature Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on the back, and also the display as well, to minimize those scratches that you might get throughout the day using the phone while putting it in and out of a bag or in your pocket as well. And just need to note, this is a big upgrade for the regular S22, since Samsung used plastic on the back of the S21 last year in order to save a little bit of money. If you are a little bit crazy, just like I am, and keep your phone naked just to appreciate the engineering work that Samsung's team has put in order to make this phone look and feel as good as it does, you'll definitely appreciate the overall fit and finish of the Galaxy S22 and the S22 Plus. They absolutely feel phenomenal and definitely worth the money that you're spending for these two phones. If you're simply looking for a powerful smartphone, you'll definitely be pleased with the performance of the S22 and also its larger sibling. Both devices are powered by the latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 with 8 GB of RAM, which delivers really good benchmark numbers, but more importantly, really good performance in the real world, simply using your applications day to day, but also while gaming as well. But the downside here is, like the Snapdragon 888 also used in the predecessor to this device, this chipset does have a tendency to run hot when pushed to its limits. But the throttled performance on this device is actually higher than the peak performance of its predecessor, which is something I think every mobile gamer is gonna love. It would have been nice if Samsung would have given us the option to upgrade from 8 GB to 12 GB of RAM with those higher storage options that are available on both of these devices, but I didn't run into any multitasking issues with either phone, so if you are a heavy multitasker, there's really nothing to worry about here. When it comes to battery life, both of these phones deliver nearly identical results to what their predecessors delivered last year. The regular S22 has a 3,700 mAh battery, while the S22 Plus gets a bump up to 4,500 mAh. In our battery test, the S22 lasted 9 hours and 54 minutes, while the Plus held on for a little bit longer, 11 hours and 12 minutes on a single charge. Now, in day-to-day use, that roughly translated to having 12 to 15% charge on the regular S22 after 14 hours of use, while the S22 Plus finished out the day a little bit better with 18 to 21% charge. And if you are curious about the usage of these devices, I do classify myself as a heavy user with multiple hours gaming, scrolling Twitter, Instagram, my news feeds, writing emails, and a whole lot more. And of course, using those cameras as well. As you can see, the results of the batteries definitely aren't great, but honestly, they're par for the course when you're comparing them to other flagship smartphones. If you are looking for a device that will last you a day and a half or 2 days, honestly, you should probably go with a mid-range device. Now, one thing that I definitely need to point out is that the Galaxy S22 Plus comes with a new and improved 45-watt fast charging, which is dramatically faster than the charging speeds we've seen from Samsung in the past. This is the same charging speed that we see on the Galaxy S22 Ultra as well. But that does mean that the regular S22 Plus is still hindered by that same 25-watt fast charging that we've seen from Samsung for quite a few years now, which is honestly quite slow when compared to the competition. And both of these phones also don't come with charging bricks in the box. But that's where the sponsor for today's video comes in. This here is the Baseus PowerCombo, a multi-function charger that redefines the look and also the role of the basic power strip that most of us use at our desk for charging all of our devices. When it comes to the Galaxy S22 Plus, the most important feature of this charger here is that it delivers 65-watt fast charging so that you can maximize the charging speed of the phone while also giving you additional headroom in the future since Samsung's device maxes out at 45 watts. With 2 AC outlets and a total of 4 USB ports, this power strip is more than capable of powering your laptop, an external monitor, your Galaxy S22 Plus, a smartwatch, earbuds, and even a tablet all at once. And while it's perfect for your desk or even your nightstand, it's small enough to throw into your bag and to be used at a coffee shop, in class, or even at the airport while you're traveling. Think of the Baseus PowerCombo as the ultimate modern power strip to charge your Galaxy S22 smartphone at home and while on the go as well. For more details, be sure to check out the link in the video description below. And now, let's get back to the Galaxy S22 and the S22 Plus, and more specifically, let's talk about the cameras. As I'm sure you're pretty well aware of, Samsung's flagship tier devices are typically well regarded in terms of their photography capabilities. For years, Samsung had a little bit of a bad reputation when it came to its imaging processing, which, in the best way to put it, was a little bit over the top and oversaturated. But they've toned things down over the last couple years, and the Galaxy S22 lineup continues that trend in the right direction with more natural looking shots. Both of the phones sport the same exact camera hardware, which is a nice touch, with a brand new 50 megapixel main camera on the back, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 10 megapixel 3x telephoto camera, and then of course there's a 10 megapixel selfie camera up front. But Samsung didn't just add better hardware and call it a day. They've also improved the computational photography on these devices with better dynamic range for those tricky lighting situations where the subject is often backlit in order so that you can see the person in the foreground. And they've also upped their game with their low light photography system as well. Though I'm not a huge fan of the branded nightography name that they've given the low light mode in the camera app, but it honestly does an incredible job. With the help of AI, Samsung's also improved its subject cutout in portrait mode as well, even adding a pet portrait mode to help isolate your furry friends from the background for much better shots, something I'm sure all pet lovers will definitely enjoy. The overall quality of the images captured by these two smartphones is definitely an improvement over what we saw last year on the S21 lineup, especially with the improvement of the 3x zoom camera on the back and with low light photography as well. And I also definitely need to point out that the selfie camera on this phone is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I'm a big fan of the selfie camera on Google's Pixel 6 Pro, which I honestly think is one of the best ones on the market. But I'd say that Samsung's selfies with the S22 lineup are just as good, and in some situations can even be a little bit better than what Google's delivered with its latest device. For me, one of the issues that I've always had with Samsung phones is the software. You do get Android 12 with One UI 4.1, which means you do get all the new features that Google rolled out with the latest version of the operating system. But in Samsung fashion, things really don't look much different than they were before. One UI does have a handful of widgets to spruce up the home screen, and you do have a new color palette system to customize the system level colors, which is pretty similar to what Google rolled out on its Pixel smartphones. The new security features of Android 12 are present as well, showing you when the microphone and the camera are being used by an app, and also giving you the option to turn them off on a system level if that's something you're worried about with security on your device. But you still get all of Samsung's bloatware, plus 4 to 5 apps from Microsoft that you'll probably never use. And then there's Bixby, which is set as the default assistant on the device when you long press the home button. Now, don't get me wrong, the software is definitely functional if you want to spend the time to customize things to your own liking and get rid of half of the applications that are installed on this device by default in order to spruce things up a little bit. But things do feel just a little bit dated, especially with that side-scrolling app drawer that Samsung can't seem to get rid of. But despite all that, there actually is a silver lining here when it comes to the software on these two smartphones. And that's the fact that they're going to be getting a total of 4 years of Android version updates and 5 years of security patches, which means both of these phones will be running Android 16 by the time 2026 comes rolling around. And if you haven't checked, that upgrade policy is actually better than Google's upgrade policy for its Pixel devices, which is honestly absolutely phenomenal. So, after all of that, you might be asking yourself if you should actually buy either of these two smartphones. The simple answer, honestly, is yes. I'm happy to say that your only choice here really is to decide which size of phone you want to buy. There is a decent improvement in overall performance when you compare it to last year's Galaxy S21 lineup, and also an improvement in the camera quality as well. But that really isn't noticeable unless you're doing hardcore gaming and playing games like Genshin Impact and Wild Rift and pushing either of these two devices to their very limits. If you are on a Galaxy S21 device, my recommendation is honestly to wait things out another year before your upgrade. But if your current device is 18 months or older, the Samsung Galaxy S22 or even the S22 Plus are both great options if you're looking for a new smartphone. But just keep in mind that Google's Pixel 6 is also a great alternative to both of these smartphones, coming in at $200 less than the Galaxy S22, which costs $800, and $400 less than the S22 Plus, which is a $1,000 smartphone. Heck, you could even upgrade to the Pixel 6 Pro if you want to go all out, and that device is only $900. And that's going to do it for this review of the Galaxy S22 and the S22 Plus. Feel free to jump into the comments and let me know what you think of both of these devices and whether or not you're going to be upgrading to the new Samsung Galaxy S22 this year. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.